Millions of people around the world live with diabetes every single day. But what if I told you that our whole understanding of one of its most common forms might be completely off? Today, we're going to tear that idea apart and deconstruct diabetes. Okay, so let's just jump right in with a really powerful question. What if type 2 diabetes isn't one single disease? What if it's actually a bunch of different conditions, all just lumped together under one name? See, for decades, the medical world has pretty much treated it as this one monolithic thing. But here's where it gets weird. Why do some patients do great on standard treatments, while others just don't? Their health declines, sometimes really fast. These totally different outcomes were this huge puzzle that really only pointed to one thing. This can't all be the same disease. And that brings us to our first big idea. One name, many diseases. This is a total game changer, a complete shift in how we look at this condition, and it really sets the stage for everything else we're about to get into. I love this quote here. It just nails the problem. Treating all T2D patients the same is like using the same map for different cities. Just think about that. Imagine trying to find your way around Tokyo with a map of Paris. You'd be hopelessly lost, right? Well, that's pretty much what we've been doing with type 2 diabetes. We've been handing everyone the same map, even though they're headed to totally different places. So, you're probably wondering, how did scientists finally figure this out? Well, that takes us to our next section, cracking the code. And what's so cool about this is it wasn't about some miracle cure. It was about looking at the problem in a whole new way. The big breakthrough wasn't a new pill or a new injection, it was a new approach. Researchers took all this existing patient data, tons of it, and used some seriously powerful computer analysis to hunt for hidden patterns, or clusters, that we'd just been missing all along. And the clues they were following are these key biomarkers you see here. They looked at things like the patient's age when they were diagnosed, their BMI, and how well their blood sugar was controlled. But crucially, they also looked at two other things: how well a person's body produces insulin, and then how well it actually uses that insulin. These pieces of the puzzle gave them a much, much clearer picture of what was really going on. Okay, so what did all this data crunching actually show? Well, as we're about to see in our third section, the faces of diabetes, the scientists found something incredible. It wasn't one disease. It was several distinct types, all hiding in plain sight. And here it is. This is the new map. Instead of just one giant category called type 2 diabetes, the data showed there are actually 4 separate subgroups. Each one has its own unique features and its own health risks. Let's break them down. First up, we've got SID, which stands for Severe Insulin Deficient Diabetes. The key thing to remember here is that these patients just don't make enough insulin. Simple as that. This group makes up about 18% of all the cases. Next, there's SIARD, or Severe Insulin Resistant Diabetes. Now, these patients are different. Their bodies make insulin, maybe even a lot of it, but their cells just don't respond to it. They're resistant to its effects. This group is about 15% of cases. Then you have MOD, which is mild obesity-related diabetes. And, well, the name kind of gives it away, right? The main thing driving this type is obesity. It's a pretty big group, about 22% of patients, and it often shows up earlier in life. And finally, we have the largest group of all, at almost 40%. It's called MARD, for mild age-related diabetes. This is kind of what you might traditionally think of when someone says they got a touch of sugar as they got older. It's tied to the aging process, and thankfully, it usually comes with a lower risk of complications. Okay, so we have these 4 groups, but why does this even matter? I mean, so what? That's what our next section is all about. Different risks, different paths. Because as you'll see, figuring out which subgroup you're in is absolutely critical. Each one has a very different future when it comes to long-term health. Let's just look at the 2 most severe groups to see how wildly different they are. With the SID group, the main issue is they don't have enough insulin. That puts them at a super high risk for needing insulin shots. But the SIRD group, their body makes insulin but ignores it. And their biggest risk isn't insulin dependency. It's a very specific and very serious complication, kidney disease. And this chart just slams that point home. I mean, look at the risk for chronic kidney disease in that SIRD group. It's just towering over all the others. This is the kind of information that can literally save lives, but you'd miss it completely if you just called them all type 2. Now get this number, 30%. That's how many patients in the SID group, remember, the ones who don't make enough insulin, end up needing insulin therapy within just 5 years of their diagnosis. It just goes to show you how aggressive their particular form of the disease really is. All of this incredible research is pushing us into a really exciting new era. And that brings us to our final section, the future, which is all about personalized medicine. This is where all this new knowledge really starts to change things for people. The path forward is it's so much clearer now. Step 1, you use those biomarkers to get a really precise diagnosis. Step 2, you figure out exactly which subgroup a patient falls into. And then, step 3, you can finally give them a targeted therapy that actually gets to the root cause of their specific problem instead of just throwing a generic treatment at them and hoping for the best. So this leaves us with a really fascinating thought. We're moving way beyond a simple you have it or you don't diagnosis. Could a simple blood test, in the very near future, tell your doctor not just if you have diabetes, but exactly what kind you have, and hand them the precise roadmap to slow it down, manage it, or maybe even stop it in its tracks? That is the incredible promise of finally cracking the diabetes code.